You tell me, is this the most controversial Christmas song out there?
Mary, did you know?
Or maybe it's this one.
Mary, did you know?
Or is it this one?
Mary, did you know?
Mary, did you know? Well, did she? That's what we're going to find out. Every December, this song gets rolled out into our ears, and it elicits some pretty strong responses from some people. Here on YouTube, it gets millions of views, and people seem to like it. But if we leave the warm embrace of YouTube and head out to the harsh reality of Twitter, then it's more of a mixed bag.
Mary, did you know is for Christians what Alanis Morissette's Ironic is for English professors.
Mary, Did You Know is a biblically inaccurate song. Yes, Mary knew. Worst Christmas song ever.
The writer of the song, Mark Lowry, clearly found it hard when he read some stuff online.
I've been reading on the internet that a lot of people don't like Mary, Did You Know?
The song gets accused of being a lot of things. It gets accused of being mansplaining. It gets accused of being unorthodox. Well, we'll see about that. But first, it gets accused of being bad songwriting. Part 1. How does it compare to other songs? People say it's really bad songwriting because it's just a long list of questions. But if we compare it to some of the other songs that we sing at church, then it's quite similar really. Think of Behold Our God, or Only a Holy God, or I Stand in Awe. All of those songs have lots of questions in them. Are we saying all of those songs are bad as well? The author of the song, Mark Lowry, really wants us to know this about the questions.
The questions are rhetorical. Study a little English and learn what a rhetorical question is.
So let's study a little English, shall we? Rhetorical questions are asked in order to produce an effect, or to make a statement, rather than to elicit information. And there's lots of songs which have rhetorical questions in. Think about some pop songs like, What's Love Got to Do With It? Or Who Do You Think You Are? Or Why Does It Always Rain on Me? And there's songs that we sing at church as well which have rhetorical questions in. Think about And Can It Be? Or My Song Is Love Unknown. Both of those have rhetorical questions in them. So I'm not saying Mary Did You Know uses the most poetic songwriting tool out there, but it's not weird to sing a song with lots of questions in it, even rhetorical questions. But the song Mary Did You Know gets accused of another thing. It gets accused of being unbiblical or even unorthodox. That takes us on to part 2. What does the Bible say? People hear the question Mary Did You Know? And they think, of course she did. It's all right there in Luke chapter 1. Just read it for yourself. They even say Mary knew the answers, and she even sang them in her own song. Of course Mary knew some things, but surely she can't have known everything. She wouldn't have known that her son would one day walk on water, or that he'd calm a storm with his hand. I just don't think that we can oversimplify and say it's all written for us right there in Luke chapter 1. Is it really fair to say that when Mary's holding the baby Jesus, that she fully comprehended that this was the great I Am? I don't think so. So let's be fair. In the story that Luke's recorded for us in his gospel, Gabriel did tell Mary some things, but not everything. I don't think Mary would have said that she knew everything either. The next story in Luke's gospel, where Jesus is a boy and he stays in the temple and Mary and Joseph lose him, Jesus asks her, didn't you know that I would be here? And if you read on in the accounts of Jesus' life in the Bible, then you'll see his followers and even his family often get things wrong about who he is and what he's come to do. There's one story in Mark chapter 3 where his family, perhaps including Mary, come to take hold of Jesus and say that he's out of his mind. Even John the Baptist got things wrong. He was the great prophet who was preparing the way for the Lord Jesus. Even he asks, are you the one to come, or should we expect someone else? I think when we read the Bible, we forget that we see with hindsight. We know what's going to happen, and perhaps we've read it before. But the characters in the story, they're experiencing it in the moment. Finally, that takes us on to part 3, what the author has to say about it. Mark Lowry, the guy who wrote the lyrics to Mary Did You Know, has had to do lots of interviews online, defending himself against critics.
And really, Mary Did You Know is not about Mary.
Right.
It's about the baby in her lap. It's asking questions that Mary obviously may or may not know, and it's irrelevant if she does or doesn't. It's my excitement in it.
I like how he describes it. The song isn't even about Mary or what she knew. It's about Jesus, the baby that's in her arms. The fact that God would become a man. I like his take here, where he says,
And I wrote it as if an excited little angel who's out of her loving mind saying, do you have any idea who is in your lap? And the wonder of that, and that compressed and compacted in that 8-pound bundle was the fullness of the Godhead. That is amazing.
So perhaps we shouldn't see this song as been sung by a man who's just mansplaining to Mary all the details. I love the idea that the song's written from an angel's perspective, who's just really excited about what's happening. The Son of God is becoming a baby boy to save the human race. Having spent so much time looking at Mary Did You Know, I think I've learned a few things. The first is a lesson in humility. Humility in the face of God, that he would become a baby in order to save me. That's just amazing. There's times when I get things wrong and I don't fully understand who Jesus is and what he's done for me. and I need to be humble about that fact. Mary didn't know everything. Her understanding grew over time, and so will ours. We'll get things wrong along the way. The second thing I learned was about wonder. Wonder at who Jesus is. After all, the song isn't about Mary, it's about the baby in her arms. The fact that God would become a man so that he could die and take on my sin and judgment and rise again to defeat death and do all of that for me. I should be in awe of who Jesus is and what he's done, and this song has helped me to do that more. I've also got a newfound wonder for songs and poetry. These things are given to us to teach us things, yes, but as we sing them and as we listen to them, then we understand things in a different way than if they were just explained to us with words. It's got me thinking about the difference between stating facts and asking questions. That leads me on to the third thing that I've been learning, about poetic songwriting. Songwriting is an art, not a science. So much of it is about showing people rather than just telling them and shoving it down their throat. I think Mary Did You Know has done a good job of that for me. So I think Mary Did You Know is not as bad as some people try and make it out to be. But what do you think? Are there other Christmas songs that we're singing which are biblically inaccurate?